Konami's newest core set, Beyond the Brave, has slowly become one of the most hyped sets in the current format, aside from Chaos Origin, which has already been released. However, Beyond the Brave is only just getting started because Konami has just announced a brand new water archetype that works with two very old field spells that were used way back in the day. Those two field spells are Umi and a legendary ocean. And for those who do not know, a legendary ocean allows you to summon high leveled water monsters with either without a tribute or with one less tribute. And it also counts as Umi while it's on the field. But what is this archetype? Well, it is known as the Atlantis archetype. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait a minute, Atlantean archetype? No, there's a difference. Atlantis and Atlantean. The Atlantean slash mermaid archetype focused on the Xyz monsters that were used during the days of half format, and one of those cards was Mermaid Abyss Gaios. The Atlantis archetype revolves around link summoning, which is gonna be a bit interesting to say the very least, but there are 10 cards to talk about in this video, so I am not gonna waste any time. I am just gonna get straight into it because obviously I am still recovering from the parasitic bug that I had in my gut this past week. I'm still recovering, but I should be stable enough to go to Bear Cave tomorrow. Tomorrow. So if you guys are in the Northridge area and you guys want to come say hi to me, maybe play some Edison, come through because Bear Cave does Edison tournaments every Sunday at 4 p.m. Shoutouts to Bear Cave CCG, such an incredible store. The people there are incredible. Shoutouts to my homies over at Bear Cave, Billy, Corey, Corey's wife Sarah, and of course Sam. Shoutouts to all of them. Love them to death. They are incredible human beings. Definitely, they're already missing me, but if all goes well today, I should be stable. I should be okay in time enough to go tomorrow. But with that being said, let's kick things off with Atlantis Dragon Lord Daedalus. Now, the original data list, which I believe was Leviathan Dragon Daedalus from Invasion of Chaos, it's getting a retrain, and I believe that it did get a couple. I think it got one other retrain in a structured deck, if I remember correctly. Ocean Dragon Lord something. Ocean Dragon Lord something. I don't remember. I've got it somewhere in my. Maybe I can look it up on TCG Player. I think it's Ocean Dragon Lord Neo Daedalus. I think it's called. Yes, I was indeed correct. Ocean Dragon Lord Neo Daedalus, which the first printing of it came about in the Structure Deck Fury from the Deep. That was released back in 2005, I want to say, like 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. Um, and then the only other printing that it got came about in a World Championship. It came about in the 2010 World Championship as one of the prize cards as a rare, and it goes for like $50, which is horrendous. But Atlantis Dragon Lore Daedalus is a 7-star Water Sea Serpent with 2600 attack, 1500 defense, and the first and third effects are both once per turn. The first effect reads: if you control Atlantis, the Dragon City, or Umi, you can special summon this card from your hand. Second effect reads: this card's name becomes Umi while in the monster zone. Third effect reads: you can send up to 3 face-up Umi you control to the grave. Add an equal number of cards that mention Atlantis, the Dragon City, from your deck to your hand, except level 7 monsters. Then you can send 1 card on the field to the grave. So I don't know if the ruling will suggest that you can only send your cards to the grave, or if you're allowed to pop one of your opponent's cards. But what's cool about this is that it's essentially Cyber Dragon as long as you have either Umi or Atlantis, the Dragon City, which I believe is the deck's field spell. Yes, it is indeed the deck's field spell, which we'll get to that in a little while. And you essentially just get to add cards from your deck to your hand, which essentially becomes 3 copies of Rhoda all rolled up into a singular monster, which is insane, which is absolutely insane. And then again, as I mentioned, the last line of text says, then you can send 1 card on the field to the grave. I don't know if it means your card or your opponent's, but being able to break your opponent's board, if that does end up being the case, is absolutely insane. And it's weird because you would think that last line of text would be like the cost or something. No, the cost is sending the face-up cards you control to the grave. Then you add cards to your hand. So the face-up part, that's the cost, which is kind of crazy. So that does give your opponent access to activate cards like Effect Veiler, cards like Ash Blossom, or whatever. But as long as your opponent doesn't have any hand traps, this card is kind of cracked. Next up, we've got General of Atlantis. Which is a 5-star Water Sea Serpent with 2100 attack, 1400 defense, and the first and third effects are both once per turn. And I believe they all have the same second effect. Yes, including the monster. Yes, including the Link monsters, where the second effect says that this card's name becomes Umi while in the monster zone. So they all have that same second effect. So I'm not going to be reading off the second effect of each monster. I'll only be reading off the first and third effects. So the first effect of General reads: you can discard this card and add a spell or trap that mentions Atlantis, the Dragon City, from your deck to your hand. Interestingly enough, I believe you can add the field spell itself to your hand, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, being able to just add any spell or trap that mentions it is insane, because you can essentially you can essentially go for the trap card, which I believe is their Solemn Judgment, which is insane, and that gives you essentially a negate right there, just right off the bat, which is nuts. The third effect reads if this card is in your grave and you control Umi, you can special summon this card. So here's what I find really cool, right? Because that this is a level 5, if you have another level 5 monster, you can instantly go into a potential rank 5, which even that alone is crazy. There are some rank 5s you can go into. Like I know you can go into cards into rank 5s like number 19 Friezadon. You can go into Adria. Can you go into Adria's? No, I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think you can go into Adria's. Let's see. Um. Oh, actually, you can. Actually, you can go into. You can actually go into Adrius, because it's basically a generic rank 5, which is crazy. But basically the effect of Adrius reads once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, target a face up card your opponent controls, and destroy it. Literally, that's literally it. So, I mean, you can go into Adrius, you can go into Tyrus. Um, there's a lot of really good generic rank 5s you can go into if you have a second level 5 on board. But for the most part, you're not really going to be doing a lot of Xyz summoning in this deck, because of the fact that this deck relies so heavily on 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 the link monsters, that for the most part you're gonna end up having mostly rank 4 water monsters. So rank 4 water monsters like number 101 Silent Honor Arc, um number 4 Stealth Kraken, which even that card alone is pretty crazy, um because if you have that on board, every monster that your opponent summons or has on board instantly become water, which basically opens up your deck for even more plays, which is incredible. And what's even more interesting is that you can also use what is it, I think DNA transplant. I think it's either DNA transplant or something else, where you can declare one attribute, and every single monster in your opponent's grave become that exact attribute, which gives you access for area the Water Charmer Gentle effect to summon out a water monster from your opponent's grave, and then you can just link that off. Oh, I will be right back. Something just came up. I will be right back, you guys. Excuse me. Alright, you guys, I am back. Sorry about that. My gut started to have some other ideas. Anyway, that's taken care of. Moving on to the next card of the video. It is known as Monstrous Arms of Atlantis. That's if this fucking ad will go away. Thank you. which is a 4-star water sea serpent with 1500 attack, 1200 defense. The first and third effects are both once per turn. The first effect reads: if this card is normal or special summon, you can target a monster in your grave that mentions Atlantis, the Dragon City. Special summon it in defense. Third effect reads: when your opponent activates a monster effect as a quick effect, you can banish this card from your field or grave and send one face of Umi you control to the grave. Negate that effect. This essentially becomes imperm on a 4-star body. Like literally, that's literally all it is. And what's even more cool, and I mentioned this with General. If you have another 4-star monster on board, you can instantly go into a potential rank 4, which again, there are some that can work well with this deck, which includes Stealth Krogan. The Stealth Krogan spawns. You can go into number 101. There's a lot of really good generic a lot of good generic water Xyz monsters that can work well with this deck. In fact, I actually might be able to pull them up from my deck. I'll be right back again. Excuse me. Alright, you guys. So these are just some of the Xyz monsters that you could potentially go into with this new Atlantis deck. This extra deck is basically what I have for my shark deck. Obviously the deck is a work in progress, so I'll show you guys my deck right now just to give you guys an idea of what I'm looking to build. This is again, it's a work in progress, but I'm still trying to make the deck just a little bit better. Not really sure how though, but I will definitely do my best. I'm thinking about throwing in a third copy of Surfacing Big Jaws. These I got from I think both of these I got from Bear Cave, or like maybe one of them. I don't remember. But yeah, this is a work in progress. I don't really know how to make the deck better, but if you guys have ideas, you guys can let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that's my shark deck. Again, work in progress. The extra deck though is a little interesting because of the fact that you can do so much with the extra deck. So for my extra deck, I've got obviously Rebarian Shark. I've got Shark Drake Vice, obviously a QCR. I've got Valiant Shark Lancer. I've got Full Armor Black Ray Lancer as well. Whoop. Almost dropped it. Number 101. I've got number 4. Chaos number 101. Got Nash Knight, obviously. Excuse me, Shark Drake Levice. Number S37 Spire Shark is another one that they can go into. And then I also have this beauty right here. QCR from the original set. Age of Overlord. Full Armor Dark Knight Lancer. This one I picked up from Bear Cave. Shoutouts to them. Shoutouts to Tyler. He was the one that traded this to me. Shoutouts to him. But yeah, those are just some of the ideas that they can do. Another idea that they can also do as well are these two right here. Full Armor Crystal Zero Lancer and of course Le Virtue Dragon. Not sure how good these cards, how good those two are in the deck, but yeah, definitely a lot of rank 4s you can go into with the Monstrous Arms of Atlantis, but this is essentially your imperm, which is nuts. Next up, we've got Fiendish Vortex of Atlantis, which is a 4-star Water Sea Serpent with 1400 attack, 1800 defense. The first and third effects are once per turn. The first effect reads: if this card is normal or special summon, you can send one card that mentions Atlantis the Dragon City from your deck to the grave, except this card. Third effect reads: if this card is sent to the grave and you control Umi, you can special summon a water monster from your hand. Okay. This is actually kind of insane because if you have Monster's Arms on board and you have a way to summon out Fiendish from your grave, not only can you summon it out, but you have yourself a rank 4 summon right off the bat. Enough said. Just enough said. Just enough said. Next up, we have Blue Ocean Dragon Lord Neo Daedalus Rage. So, obviously, Ocean Dragon Lord Neo Daedalus is getting a retrain in the form of a Link monster, which is nuts. And it is a Water Sea Serpent Link 4 with 2900 attack, and its arrows are top, bottom left, bottom right, and requires 4 monsters. That's it. Like that, literally, it does not say what kind of monsters. It just says 4 monsters. The first effect reads: if this card is Link summoned, you can special summon up to 3 monsters that mention Atlantis the Dragon City from your grave to your zones this card points to. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn. Third effect reads: once per turn, as a quick effect, you can send one face of Umi you control to the grave. Send all cards on the field to the grave except Umi. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, you basically get to extend your combo, which is not bad. Enough said. Just enough said. I mean, essentially, it becomes 3 Monster Reborns in one single card, which is just mind blowing. Next up, we've got Lavia Dragoon Daedalus, which is a Water Sea Serpent Link 3 with 2600 attack, and its arrows are bottom left, bottom right, and it requires 3 water monsters. The first and third effects are both once per turn. The first effect reads: if this card is Link summoned, you can special summon a monster that mentions Atlantis the Dragon City from your deck. Third effect reads: during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can send one face of Umi you control to the grave. Your opponent discards their entire hand, and if they do, they draw the same number of cards. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. Literally, it's card destruction for your opponent. So if your opponent has a shit ton of hand traps, like let's say, I don't know, Ash Blossom, Drone Lockbird, and let's say like Nibiru, like let's say they've got every hand trap under the sun, right? In a 5-card hand. They literally, with this card, all those cards in their hand get discarded. So it basically becomes card destruction on a 2600 body. Enough said. I mean, that's pretty cracked. Not much else to say about that. Next up, we have Atlantis the Dragon City, which is the field spell that I mentioned earlier in the video. And it has 3 separate effects. The third one is a once per turn. The first effect reads, the levels of all monsters in both players' hands and fields are decreased by 1 while you control a monster that mentions Atlantis the Dragon City. Okay, let me go back a second to General of Atlantis. So because that General of Atlantis instantly becomes a level 4 water monster, guess what? Now you've basically opened up your deck to a shit ton of rank 4 water monsters that can essentially rank up into this. Into full armor Dark Knight Lancer, which this card is absolutely busted. And if you guys do not know this card, I talked about this card a long time ago when Age of Overlord was announced a few years ago. I think it was like a couple of years ago or something like that. And the effects of Dark Knight Lancer reads as follows: once per turn, you can also exceed some of this card by using a rank 5 or 6 exceeds monster you control, transfers materials to this card. Gains 300 attack for each material and equip card it has. Once per turn, you can target an exceeds card in your grave added to your hand. Once per turn, if an equip card becomes equipped to a monster you control, except during the damage tab, you can attach a monster your opponent controls to this card as material. This card essentially breaks your opponent's entire board as long as they have no way to stop it. And it's all because of this card, making your General of Atlantis a level 4 water monster. That's it. That's it. Pretty crazy, right? Second effect reads, you can link summon dataless monsters with 1 less material, reduce the number of materials listed for the link summon of all dataless monsters by 1. Okay, you only need 2 for Dragoon and 3 for dataless range. Not bad. Not too shabby. Third effect reads, if this card is in your grave and you control Umi, you can place this card face up on your field. So if you do end up having Dragoon on board and the field spell gets sent to the grave, you get to place it back face up in your field zone, which is so busted because you don't really need to have multiple copies of this card in your deck. You don't even need to max it out, in my opinion. I think you only need to run 2 because at least that way, if one gets banished, you have a second one ready to go, which is nuts. Next up, we have Atlantis Call. Which is a normal spell, and both of its effects are once per turn. The first effect reads, add a monster that mentions Atlantis the Dragon City from your deck to your hand. Then, if you control Atlantis the Dragon City, you can negate the effects of one effect monster your opponent controls until the end of the turn. Second effect reads, if you control Umi, you can banish this card from your grave. All water monsters you currently control gain 500 attack and defense. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad because because your end board could be literally anything, and if you have this card on board, this card's attack could potentially go up to well over 5,000 attack. So depending on how many materials this card has, it could go up to 5,000, it could go up to 6,000. For all we know, it could go up to 8,000 for all we know, which is pretty possible. Depending on how many materials it has. So hypothetically speaking, you can do You can do Nash Knight, rank it up into Chaos Exceeds Nash Knight, use its effect to detach a material to summon out number 101, activate some sort of like rank up spell to go into Chaos number 101, and then if your opponent ends up using Imperm on Chaos number 101, you can go into cards like you can end up going into cards like Chaos Exceeds Armor Fortress and then Full Armor Dark Knight Lancer. The possibilities are endless, and with Atlantis Call, with its second effect, this card could potentially push for lethal, which is very possible, but it all just depends on what the board state looks like. Next up, we've got Atlantis Advent, which kind of looks like something out of the Legend of Zelda, which is kind of cool. It is a continuous spell with the second and third effects being a once per turn. The first effect reads, this card's name becomes Umi while on the field. Second effect reads, during your main phase, you can place one Atlantis, the Dragon City, or Umi from your deck face up in your field zone. Third effect reads, if this card is sent to the grave, you can add a level 7 Sea Serpent from your deck to your hand. So, essentially, you get to add... You essentially get to add Atlantis Dragon Lore Data List to your hand, and that's pretty much it. Not much else to say about it. Excuse me. That brings us to the final card of the video, and it is known as Daedalus Maelstrom. Excuse me. Which is a counter trap with both of its effects being a hard once per turn. The first effect reads, when your opponent would normal or special summon a monster while you control Atlantis the Dragon City, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. Then, if you control a water link monster, you can destroy all non-water monsters on the field. Second effect reads, you can banish the card from your grave and send a face-up Umi you control to the grave. Target a monster your opponent controls, send it to the grave. I mean, it's basically Solemn Judgment, Raigeki, and Trap Hole rolled into one trap card, where both of its effects are a hard once per turn, which is insane. Not much else to say about it except holy shit, this new archetype is not bad. Low key, it's not bad. I can honestly see this deck becoming a very unique strategy where if this got paired up with the legendary fisherman support, I mean, we could potentially see a very powerful deck. It's very possible. 100%. It is 100% possible. But we'll just have to wait and see. But with that being said, that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more card discussions in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.